Hi, friends. Host Eric here. Host Talking to Fitness People. I'm here with Neptune. I'm here with Pepsi. I'm here with the bot Anna. INFP258. And we're talking about why people act so weird. People act weird. Almost everybody will at some point be the one who's acting weird. Because the answer to why people act so weird is because it is people act strange when they don't feel they're well equipped to deal with a given situation. So early in childhood, in our schooling careers anyway, we get trained in FE mostly by peers. I mean, I remember the variety of nonsense things that mattered a lot when I was a little kid, like the time period when it ceased to be cool to buy your lunch, and everybody should started bringing their lunch. And specifically, you had to bring it in a brown paper bag. There was no bringing it in a plastic bag. That would be lame. So, like those kind of conformity-based FE burdens that are placed on a lot of kids, most kids in some sense or another, by their schooling experience, is one of the first things that makes this act weird. I think it's important to remember that we all end up going through this strange childhood whereby we're, unlike any other members of the population, the youth are subjected to slavery for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but that obviously is going to put a dent in your nature. What I mean by subjected to slavery is children are forced to go work on pretend work and stay in a location um, all day, every day, even if they're being abused in that location by their peers, even if they don't want to be there. And we don't do that to any other segment of our population, but we do that to kids for some reason. It damages us. I started acting weird in elementary school. And a lot of times I was acting weird because I didn't know how to engage successfully with people. I just thought, well, if I act weirder, then somehow it will allow me to not have to figure this out so much. Like I'll be the weird one or something. I don't know. Now, when I was a kid, I acted weird in kind of effy clumsy ways. There was a lot of posturing behind my behaviors in general. I remember in high school, I had started reading War and Peace, but it wasn't very good. But I had told people I was reading War and Peace, so I carried it around for a while and moved the bookmark. Like that's acting really weird. Why are you carrying around a book you're not reading and moving the bookmark? Well, the answer in that instance was FE. I was trying to impress people or didn't want somebody saying to me, "Hey, I thought you were reading War and Peace. Did you finish it?" or something like that. Um, Terrible book, from what I remember anyway. Okay, so most weird behavior has something to do with FE. Either it's weird because someone's trying to do something with the FE that is a little shady or something, in which case, who knows what they may be. There's a lot of passive aggressiveness in FE, there's a lot of deceit implicit in FE, and there's a lot of mm, uncertain sincerity sometimes, I guess. But the thing about that is not the only way in which people act weird. So I was known to act weird when I was playing certain kinds of sports. Apparently, I simply look clumsy and inept. Um, I have a lot of bad memories from PE. Uh, had to do a certain amount of battling for legitimacy. You know, if I was ever subjected to physical bullying, it was at PE. And by the time I was in middle school or high school, it was less. I remember an incident in high school though that was fairly. It wasn't super ugly, but I remember seeing red like for a long time afterwards. Like I wish I had picked up a board or a rock or something and crushed his skull with it. But opportunities lost. Regardless, those sort of things make you act weird as you're in your head after those events and you're seething and not hearing anybody and like totally detached from reality, just fixated on what you're thinking about. That's kind of acting weird and for anybody who's trying to deal with you. The thing is, what I've discovered talking to various people here on TWFP and to a lesser extent around the world, but mostly here, is I had a pretty easy go of things in general. I had a good family. Both my parents were good parents and took good care of me. Um, and I I was subjected to some bullying at some points, fairly bad, I guess, but there were a lot of people got a lot worse, and I did learn to fight back at a certain point. I had some nice wins in there too. I remember being scared though. I remember being scared to fight. You know, not thinking that I was going to do well in a physical altercation. And those sort of things shape your worldview dramatically, especially for an SI user who understands the world because of their own experience. I mean, my takeaway from childhood, adolescence, even into my early 20s was to learn a little bit about being an individual. I had some healing experiences in my early 20s too, in the sense that I remember there was this guy who he was just short in high school, probably would have bullied me, but we were out of high school now, and things were changing, and you could just sort of sense it. And he sort of still tried to dominate me. In this particular instance, about a sport. We were got a big argument about who could play basketball better. And we went out of the court, and I said, "Well, then you better step out there, bitch." And I fucking rode his ass about it until he finally did go out on the court, and I smoked him. And he had a lot of comeuppance. I'll tell you, it was very satisfying because he was trying to push me around. Not only did I not take it, but I fucking pinned him and made him get out there and actually get beat by me. Get get pretty well smoked. Um, and of course, at the end of it, I said, "I told you so." One of my favorite expressions. Why do people act weird? Why did I freak out at that time when I was like 22 or whatever when this guy tried to have the same sort of superior, dismissive attitude that I'd faced a lot from retards in high school? I mean, the thing is, of course, in retrospect, you don't really buy it at the time. In retrospect, all those people were, I mean, there weren't any of them, all these people like I went to high school with, there are a few of them I'm sure that have accomplished things and are interesting, but probably very few of them. My high school, Arcadia High School, very rich neighborhood, all white, till the Asians started moving in. And totally like football and date rape and keggers and um, it wasn't an environment that was suited for me at all. I mean, talk about being not not allowed to play. You know, I was not allowed to play that shit because I didn't make any sense to any of those people. They didn't understand why I acted so weird. I did have my bohemian high school friends who were mostly intuitive, I suppose, and we did do interesting things. And we sort of, at a certain point, my group of friends and I in high school kind of hijacked the social order a little bit in the sense that we kind of existed as a group outside of the social order. At a certain point, people just didn't know where to put me. Some people that infuriated them. Some people it made them just kind of go, okay, well, I don't know what to think about this guy, and it just things sort of started to change. I was always fairly loud and big personality, and I definitely got a lot of pushback from certain cadres of individuals. You know, I mean, you go to any school, high school circa 1989, and there are always going to be a group of individuals who feel as though it's their duty and mission to torture some other students in the school that they don't like, don't find legitimate, and want to invalidate. That's why you shouldn't force people to go to school. I mean, you know, if I had to do it all over again, I would never get bullied as a kid, obviously. First time it happened, I would have reacted with immediate and stunning violence. And, you know, I would have put an end to that. When you're a little kid, you can get away with that shit. You know, it's like what one ought to do when one was a kid is if one gets shoved or bullied in some fashion, wait until the bully turns around and then run up behind him and shove his head directly into the stone wall. And at full force, you know. When he's lying on the ground bleeding, then ideally what you do is shit on his face. But if there's a lot of people around and you can't do that, then just spit on his face. It's probably going to be good enough. Regardless, the expulsion will be worth it because then you'll no longer have to go to school, and boy, will that be fun to remember for the rest of your life. Why do people act weird? Because they abuse each other. Why do I tell such horrible sounding stories like that? Like, and this is how you deal with these people. You treat them as though they were vermin and try to rob them of all of their dignity. Um, it's not a nice thing to say. It's not a very healthy way of interacting with any population of other people. But at the same time, I think that's fun. That's the problem. That's the problem with life. What's the problem? People do bullshit and get away with it. That's the problem with life. Tracy Beverlin in Pratt, Kansas, pulling some fucking illegal bullshit, and she's getting away with it. You know, the least we can all do is to make them run like the cowards they are. To stand there and say, hey, fucktard, come here. I have some questions for you. Um, that's not the only way and reason that people act weird, though. There are some other manners of weird acting that I'd like to get into that are a little bit different. So, depending on your function stack, you might express weirdness rather differently. FI DOMs do some weird shit. They seem to really like sparky jealousy. They seem to get off on it. So, someone is in the throes of FI, whether it's me as an FE user, but way more so if you're an FI user, when you're in the throes of FI, you tend to believe crazily irrational things like, I've been gone for 30 minutes. It's possible my significant other cheated on me. Now, it is possible. It doesn't take 30 minutes to copulate necessarily. Uh, depending on how urgently you need to go number three, it could take 5 minutes. But it's still not a realistic assessment of time management to think that if you run to the store for 30 minutes and come back, that your significant other has snuck somebody in the house, sucked their dick, and sent them on their way. Um, it's pretty crazy, especially when your significant other gives you absolutely zero cause for jealousy. Like, zero cause to actually think anything's going on. But FI reels its ugly head. What's the expression? I don't know. FI gets stupid, and you just start fixating on completely illogical, irrational things. And then you do things like say, 15 years ago, how did you feel when you were dating this person? The other person goes, what? I need to know. I don't know how I felt. That was 15 fucking years ago. Oh, right. Oh, that's right. I don't need to know that at all. I don't want to know that. I don't need to know that. And even if you told me, it wouldn't mean anything because your words would just be the words you're painting about that for my benefit and have nothing to do with anything. Only FI is stupid enough to make you go crazy like that. It's just about valuing. If you really, really strongly value somebody and hold them to be precious, then you are living a form of intensity that has side effects. Now, one kind of weirdness that people have, sometimes talking about TE DOMs, ESTJs, or something like that, they can be quite directorial. I'd call that a manner of acting weird. After all, none of us is the director in the other person's play. We're only directing our own play. But TE DOMs sometimes seem to think that you're supposed to be an actor in their play. FE DOMs can be like that too. Candace is like that. ENFJs tend to be like that a little bit. ENTJs too, I suppose. Although they seem a little bit more considered in their directorialness, I guess. Thoughts? Neptune? Pepsi? Uh, Blanky? I'm gonna read this thing. The last two fights I was in, I nearly killed him. Bully sucker punched me while getting pistols out of my locker. I spent the next 3 minutes trying to stab him in the throat with them. And every time he tried to run, I would get pissed, grab him, throw him against the lockers, and try to stab him in the throat again. He was a varsity wrestler, and after 3 minutes, somebody finally pulled me off him, and I was furious because he won. The fucker wouldn't stand still. NTP here. After those last two, I realized I needed to stay far away from people who could bring that out of me. Huh. Interesting. Well, I would say that that you know once you're subjected to violence, you want to definitely physically assault the bully with as much force as possible, but you want to do it in a time when he's totally not expecting it. Like hit him in the back of the head with a brick, something like that. Um, Obviously, there will be repercussions for such an act, but if you argue it right, the repercussions are on the people who allowed the bullying to persist in the first place. Um, that's the thing. I don't believe in fighting physically at all. So if compelled to engage physically, I sure as hell am not going to fight fair. To have to engage physically means you failed to be an adequate human being with adequate argumentation. You failed to engage me intellectually. You knew if you tried, I would shame you for your ample retardation. And so you've resorted to fisticuffs. Well, hence the brick in the back of the head. Yeah, I've had many, many years of extremely violent fantasies about people that I think are engaged in injustice, be they cops, but not really. I didn't really have any fantasies about people who bullied me after I was out of school. I don't really think about them very often. I've been reflecting on it more lately than I ever had before because um, trying to kind of understand a little more clearly how much some of those early experiences shaped my nature and made me ache for sure. When you do get bullied, you have this obsession with never being bullied again by anybody. I have I've always felt, and I still feel, a certain amount of shame for every time I was a coward. And there were plenty of such occasions. And plenty of occasions when I wasn't too. It was kind of hit and miss. I was a scared kid. It was an environment in which nobody was supervising us at all. We were just Lord of the Flies. So, I mean, the shit that they pulled off, and I was watching the Apache News, which was my high school TV news broadcast, and oh my god, it was full of shit about like going to the river and getting blowjobs and stuff, and it was like on the morning TV at school. Nobody was supervising the fucking TV station. Nobody was supervising the newspaper. I remember I wrote some fucked up articles. Um, one of them was an April Fool's article in which I made fun of this teacher who had this verbal tick, and he fixed it thereafter. So I felt bad even then. I knew it was mean. Um, but it actually probably helped him. He stopped doing it after that. Anyway, the point is, everyone was mean to each other, or if they weren't, I wasn't part of that group. My friends weren't mean to each other, but I mean, the school, everyone was mean to each other. People were fucking assholes and douchebags, and it was a nightmare. So even though I didn't really start considering that that might be significant until relatively recently, it seems obvious to me now that it must be significant. One attains one's ontology against what one begins by assuming is the default standard operating procedure for everybody. Well, it's just how the world is. My dad is super angry all the time. That's just how it is, I guess. He got less angry as he got older, but when I was littler, especially, there's a lot of eggshell walking. Shh, don't say anything. Dad's upset right now. Yeah, well, okay. I mean, as we got older, I just started realizing he's all bark and no bite. But his bark's pretty scary, and and but it's like that sort of shit, that sort of controlling shit, where the dad is making sure that everybody is following his mood. Like, well, if dad's in a bad mood, everybody else better be respectfully quiet because they don't want to piss dad off. Fuck that noise. Fuck that noise so hard. I love my dad, and he's fantastic. I have not an ill word to say about the man. But one thing I have learned is you don't want to be in a relationship where you're controlling people and feeling as though things are correct when others are jumping when you snap your fingers. Who fucking wants that? Why? You know? Why did my dad act weird like that? Why did he think it was okay for him to be all angry and make everybody else react to him all the time? Well, probably because he grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania. His dad left when he was little, and he had to milk the cows all his childhood and shit, and walk through the snow to school, and all that stuff that parents tell you about. But it was real for him. He was the man of the family at a young age, and he had a little sister, and he had a mom who was kind of ditzy, I guess you'd say. She was a pretty ditzy woman. Um, and he had to kind of run the farm himself from like 8 or 10 years old. So, um, obviously, he has his own anger issues. He's like, this shit happened to me. It was fucked up. My dad left. He kept promising things and he never followed through. And I had to do all the shit. And, I mean, he had reason to be angry, I guess. But that's not reason to make us play Dance to My Anger. I tried doing that shit with Cam. I did with Candace's song. I did it with Melinda's song. Boy, it doesn't work on Kim at all. She's when I start going, I am serious, Kim. Trying to be all mad and stuff. She just rolls her eyes at me. She knows it's all bullshit. She knows that I won't try to defend my general interactions with her if they're not fair and just, but I'll still indulge in it occasionally, and it doesn't work, and it shouldn't work, and I don't want people to be scared of me. I don't understand why. I mean, a lot of people do, though. People want other people to be scared of them. And that certainly is a way of acting weird. Yeah, my dad's calmed down a lot too. I mean, now he's 80-something years old. Um, I got in some fights, but I didn't get in a lot of fights. And I won some, I lost some, but I never got too. I never felt like I was at risk of like getting seriously injured or something. Um, yeah, I got one fight as an adult. Steve sucker punched me. This guy named Steve Holmes sucker punched me when I was sitting in my car through my open window, and then fucking pounded on me through the window until finally I was able to get myself out of the car. By that time, he landed a bunch of punches. He knocked me out on the street. And I came to, I was lying in the middle of the street looking up at the sky. I was like, what the fuck happened? And I was like, oh, Steve. Well, he had gone into Corey's house to get his woman who was there. He thought I was sleeping with his woman. I wasn't doing anything to her at all. I wasn't even trying to get on her at all. He was completely off base. Although I did it after that, I did get on her because at that point I fucked her good. I fucked her really good. I had a fun time fucking her. Anyway, so yeah, I did get on her after that because he knocked me on the street. But to my credit, in my adult fight there, I got up from being knocked down the street, ran into Corey's house like a free safety, fucking tackled him and like, "Rah!" and fucking pushed his head through the drywall. And we rolled around on the floor a bit and tried to grab each other until finally he pulled away and ran outside and locked himself in his woman's car. Did I lose that fight? Well, yeah, he did more damage than I did. He knocked me out. I didn't knock him out, but I held the ground at the end.
Hello.
Hi, Susie. Well, his girlfriend didn't leave him for me. She was broken up with him when I did eventually sleep with her, and it was mostly just for kicks. But then I had the for somewhat satisfying and somewhat awful experience of having him then call me later and ask me if I had slept with her. And I said, and I'm like, look, dude, you guys are broken up, so I don't even know what you're talking about. Why are you even asking me this shit? He's like, please tell me, please tell me. I'm like, yeah, I fucked her, but you guys are broken up, so what's the big deal? You need to chill the fuck out. And besides that, this is kind of satisfying, I guess. But regardless, that was my one adult fight. And I certainly didn't expect to have that fight, and it was not a fair fight in any sense, but maybe if it had been, he probably still would have kicked my ass because I'm just not good at fighting. I don't want to be good at fighting. I shouldn't have to fight. So yeah, we're live streams tonight about why people act weird. And
Why people act weird?
yeah, we
Where
talked
did
about.
that come from? Do we have an interesting blankie?
No, it was. I can't even remember exactly why I started to make the topic. I was thinking about myself acting weird in certain contexts and linking it to FE, FI, SE, stuff like that. And I just decided that would be a good title for a video. Why people act weird. So far, we've gone over FE reasons, FI reasons, um, and I think those are the primary reasons why people act weird. But sometimes it's
Oh,
because
TE reasons.
well, I talked about the ESTJ's TEs being very angry or directorial sometimes, and how it's not. If you think about it, it's a very weird way to act. Like assuming that others are there to be directed for your purposes, as though you were the director in your own play and theirs as well. But it's just sort of a naturally occurring phenomenon for somebody who understands first and foremost how things could be done more efficiently. I mean, they just can't. They can barely stop themselves from telling you. Eric, if you blah 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 blah, and then I don't want to do it that way. That sounds boring and dumb and not fun and stupid. Yeah, I didn't want to go to jail or anything for sure. I knew that fight wasn't going to go to, nobody was going to go to jail unless somebody died or something, because I knew Steve wasn't going to call the cops, and I knew I wasn't going to call the cops, and I knew Corey wasn't going to call the cops, and I knew Liz wasn't going to call the cops. So I was pretty sure that wasn't going to go to the cops. Um, he broke my nose, I think, too. It's been a little bit crooked ever since, but just barely. He probably just cracked it or something a little bit. It was all swollen up after. Anyway, yeah. So that was Steve Holmes. He hated me from the get go. I first met that guy playing basketball in Sierra Madre, and he just fucking hated me. He hated everything about me, and I hated him too. We'd fucking mad dog each other at the basketball court. Sometimes get a little like, "Oh yeah, fuck you," but um, why did he hate me so much? I think he was an ESTP. ESTPs hate ENTPs with good reason. I mean, we're everything they can't ever be, and they're nothing that we can't ever be. Well, I don't know about ESTP chicks. I don't really know any, and although I've met a couple on here, uh, I find them intimidating. I wouldn't want to go out with one, that's for sure. It's like, it's true. Polar FI people do like FI DOMs and can be tricked into thinking that's what they're looking for, because FI DOMs have that way of smiling at you and looking at you. It makes you feel a wave of their love coming from their facial expression. You go, oh my god, I'm so loved. That's not real love. That's FI love. You don't want any piece of that shit.
That's not real love. Then you have an argument and it goes down in flames.
I know, exactly. It's too much sparkiness and too much volatility. To the extent that it's good, it's kind of sickly good. And to the extent that it's bad, it's fucking awful. Get off on that. I mean, it's easy to get off on that. That's the problem. It's why we should
Which
stay
is
away from those what are they called? Succubuses. They're called succubi.
You're
they
calling
just look
FI
at
dumb
you.
succubi?
Mhm.
Yeah, but you hear what he's saying. It's like, oh, they look at me and it's done.
Yeah, but like all of the buildup that you created in your head, like that's not their fault for you surmising that they love you from their face.
No,
Like
but
they
they
didn't do
do.
anything. It was you,
Hey,
like
but
idealizing.
let's say they do, and they're saying things as well, like, "Oh my God, I love you so much, and you're so," I- you know. I had this experience where you know you get this gorgeous woman who's like smiling at you in ways that you never thought anybody would ever smile at you, like, because I didn't have any. I was no Casanova or whatever, and it's mind blowingly melting. Like, you know, I'd get off the video conference with her and burst into tears because it was so overwhelming. I'd never imagined anything like that ever happening, where this smoking hot woman, way out of my league, is is throwing herself at me and doing it in a way that is not like, oh, is this a stupid slut? I don't want to get on that. I'll get some sort of disease. But doing it in some sort of way like, oh my God, I think I love you. Ah, you're so wonderful. But it's not real like this is. ISFJ is real. It's not that sparky. And
Wait,
it's better. It's like a sustainable fire rather than, you know, oops, the pie got too hot and everything exploded again. Okay, now oh, that's a nice warm fire. Ooh, that's a big one. That's a hot fire. Oh shit, everything exploded again. That's your FI dump relationship. It's like, yeah, okay,
so
maybe
are
the
they
fire gets
basically just
bigger,
like
but it's not
doomed?
sustainable.
So they're just doomed because that's the way they express love.
That's with me. I'm not saying it's for FI doms with all types. For an ENTP, like you said, the polar FI types, I think it's probably true for ESTP as well, but I don't know. Polar FI ENTP, our hidden agenda is to be loved. We get that from FI doms, and we think, this is what I've been looking for. But what there's not is any sense of peace or wholeness. There's a lot of desperateness. You know, even if she's, you know, giving up everything you could ask for, you just feel this sort of desperation about the whole thing all the time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like you feel like it could fall apart at any moment, kind of thing.
I never acted so crazy as I did with that woman. Like, if she wouldn't respond to a message when she was supposed to, I'd sit there and message her for like 10 hours straight. Like, literally. Saying, I can't believe you're not responding to me. I mean, I never acted like that before. Ever.
Wait,
And
but once again, that's like so not like I don't
I
know.
know.
Like it seems like more of a flaw in the polar FI person than
Yeah, I
than
think it
the.
is. Right. Because here she was saying, hey, look, I have genuine warm feelings for you. I genuinely want to engage with you physically as a man, even though I'm super hot and you're Eric. I mean, that's what she was trying to say. And then when she just reveals her natural way, like, and now here's some love for you. With I'm just gonna sit here and value you and stare lovingly at you and smile, and then I just go, okay, I want to have you now forever. And of course, FI Dom goes, well, relationships develop over time. They need to evolve naturally with the two people getting to know each other and becoming more comfortable and learning what they love about each other. And then she understood that. I didn't understand that at all. And I never would. That's why when I got with Kim, I locked her ass down in a week and a half. And I had her a week and a half or so after my first debacle of a date. I had her committed to me forever. And she was down. She understood as an ISFJ with her countervalued FI, the FI shit, we shouldn't consider the FI shit like, wait, I have to wait for my feelings to develop and evolve so I know I want to be with you. Normal people, that's how you do it. 7th slot and 6th slot FI together get to bypass that bullshit. Now we still develop the feelings over time, we still become closer over time and all everything, but we don't have to worry about the fact that, well, that means you shouldn't commit until you know you're in love, because we get the practical complications of that. If you're not committed, then it's in limbo. If it's in limbo, then you might as well get on somebody else. Because she probably is. It's in limbo for her too. So, I mean, that's why you want to get locked down fast. Lock it down right away, and then if it doesn't work out, you can break up later. But don't try to delay locking it down until you're sure you know. You have to make a freaking logical calculus on the matter. Is this woman an appropriate fit for my expectations, life, needs, yada, yada, yada? And will I be able
But,
to meet
but
her
with
needs
such limited
equivalently?
information, you can't
What?
know. With
What?
What's
such
the definition
limited
of locking
information,
shit
you
down?
can't make a calculus.
Well, I mean, the information you need to have in place are, I think, first and foremost, schedule compatibility. Do you work at hours when you'll see each other?
This sounds so transaction-y. I don't know.
Well, it has to be. This is the thing people don't understand. People think that it's possible to fall in love first and then get together. But it's not. You can't fall in love without the safety of the commitment.
Eric, what's the definition of locking shit down?
Fully committed monogamous relationship. All in forever. It's the only kind of relationship I'll have.
That last sentence there, that changes everything, because the first part is all fine and normal, and then you say forever.
No, but
Scary
here's
as
the thing.
fuck.
Here's the thing. The former implies the latter necessarily. We have to be realistic. And we say, if you're going to commit to me, I expect you to commit wholeheartedly, which means you expect to see yourself with me forever, and we're agreeing that we're committing forever. Now, we both know it might not actually last forever, but to operate in good faith with the other party is to assume it will and to behave accordingly. Otherwise, you're setting me up.
I don't know. I think this is just like your TI way out of that.
No,
It's
it
called
has
rightness.
a
It's
point.
called rightness, Neptune. It's called rightness.
You're just
There's
saying
no
it in a very
rightness with
inedible way.
They're also different. You can't say like one size fits all, Eric. Like if it's for you.
Nope, my way is right.
Okay.
What about that time you wanted a fuck buddy?
Well, the slabs didn't deliver me one. You got to factor in the slabs. I'm not saying you don't factor in the slabs, Susie.
No, but what if someone just happens to have a slab? Should they not be allowed to do that?
I'm not saying they shouldn't be allowed to do that. I'm saying if you want to be in a
Eric,
relationship,
you're not the gauge of all knowing.
that's true. Listen, the thing is, I'm not disapproving of
And I get myself up.
non-monogamous. I am not disapproving of non-monogamous relationships. I am saying that if you are looking for a relationship, there's only one way to do it right. If you actually want a relationship with somebody, then you need to push for all in forever now. Because
So,
then you
quick question, Eric.
So
I was
weird.
looking up polar, and is it the seventh function in socionics as well?
Yes.
So for ENTPs, it would be FI, correct?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to get straight because I know there's like a really kind of retarded numbering system they use as well, which I don't get.
I don't.
But
it's so dumb. I just ignore
Yeah.
their numbering system. But yeah, it's the MBTI 7th is your polar.
Okay, cool.
And
Did you read my comment on Facebook? I did kind of. I tried to keep it short, but it's never short. Like analysis of your analysis.
on Facebook?
Yeah.
What was my analysis on Facebook? I don't remember.
Well, you did an analysis of my SO, and I think she's an ISFJ, and I hadn't considered that until you did the interview. But I did some analysis of the interview, and it just, I think there are some things that maybe got misconstrued. But I'll let you read through it and let me know what you think.
I'll tell you this: midway in the interview, it was on my list of serious considerations. Now, it may be also that I'm too easily swayed by Susie. I've come to think of her as the typing expert around here. So if she makes a suggestion, I usually go with
Eric.
that.
Well, she did say that.
I'm sorry, Susie. You're faster than me, and you always correct me, and you tend to always be right.
No, I was not leading you in any way until the end.
I think that you said you found her relatable, but ESFJs, ISFJs, ENTPs, INTPs, we all kind of find each other relatable.
Yeah, but INTP and INFP are different because there's different functions.
Oh yeah, I know, but that's why I think you found her relatable. Is she's an ISFJ?
He's saying he feels as though she's a quadrumate, that he relates to her as
Yeah.
one relates to a quadrumate, and I I'm my jury's still out on this. I By the end of that thing, I was pretty convinced that it was not FETI. I don't remember what it was that convinced me, but there was something out there that convinced me. But I mean, the thing is,
Yeah.
I was temporarily
It was
convinced.
hard.
The troll
She's
Yeah.
hard.
question.
She's a hard one to judge.
The troll
It was an
question, Eric.
early.
It was
She was just done with the long shift, and it was an early. I don't know about you, but it was early for me, and so maybe that was part of it too. But there, there are a few things. Like I remember when we first met, she said, "Wow, you're just so smart." But it was almost like that Star Trek episode where there were these. I don't know. There was this race of people that apparently had Down syndrome, but they kidnapped Jordy because he's smart. He makes things go, and
but
and
INFPs
and
aren't dumb.
and it was almost like she was seeking it, but not. She doesn't really do it, and it doesn't bother me that much because she's got other qualities that also I really seek myself. Like she seems to be a bit
Like
more
big
stable in
tits.
certain ways. Well,
Susie, what were we gonna say? Hold on, let Susie talk.
oh, okay.
She was trying to say something. I couldn't hear her either time. What were you gonna say, Susie?
Oh, you know what? I'll just Eric. Don't throw me under the bus, but I'll just leave this one.
Why? What? I, oh, that right there.
I
Okay, well,
No, that was not you, Eric.
It was me.
no,
Yeah, I was trying to complete a thought. I wasn't trying to talk over you though, but it
no,
came
that,
out that way.
yeah, no, I didn't.
That's what it resulted as.
I wasn't trying to bust your chops about that. I just wanted to hear what Susie had to say. Um,
I did too.
the thing is, I find
Ugh.
INFPs are probably smarter than
Eric, when you started
ISFJ.
off the interview, you were searching for ISFJ.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that,
He-
Susie. I know you
he
were going to
was.
say that. I was asking ISFJ questions. That's not the same thing as searching for ISFJ. It's putting out ISFJ there to either confirm or eliminate because it's a place to start. Just
Yeah,
because I'm
and I
asking
did.
questions in a certain direction doesn't mean I'm experiencing bias. It
Yeah,
seems
but
that
Eric,
way, but I'm not
I
subject to it.
did not know that she tested as INFP when I said it.
Okay, I didn't think you did. I was genuinely saying to you, Susie, what you said and pointed out in there swayed me and convinced me because I thought you were right. I'm still not saying I think you're wrong. I'm saying when I was asking questions to try to confirm ISFJ and I was getting a lot of ISFJ answers, that doesn't mean I'm biased by the desire for her to be ISFJ. What it instead means is that I was chasing down a lead, so to speak, that either panned out or didn't. As you know, I'm not attached to those early conclusions at all. So I'd much rather be wrong than biased.
Get that?
Um,
I noticed it too though, but I guess
again, what you noticed was me pursuing a line of questioning that did indeed seem to suggest that I was looking for ISFJ. Because I was, but that doesn't mean I was looking for ISFJ. It means I was running through that part of the algorithm.
Yeah, and I that's the way I saw it too. And I mean, really, with the personality test, the reason I didn't mention that early on is we got ISFP and we got INFP as results, but we also she got like ENFJ. I mean, there are a number of results.
I think we can all agree she's NE, right? Somewhere in the stack,
Yeah,
in the front half of it, not NI. I feel pretty confident about that.
sees
And
how
she's not
SI she
SE.
is.
She's not SE at all.
I said she's NE.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
but she's not NI at all either, as far as I can tell. And what I have noticed is that she does not see how SI she is, in the sense that like you're asking her if she's on time or late. She's got the kind of job where, like, if she's a minute late, she's getting written up.
No, I get this. I wasn't. I don't.
That doesn't.
Does
Those things aren't definitive for
job
me at
here?
all. They're just corollaries I'm looking for. It's
Yeah,
not. They don't.
yeah.
They correlate with a lot of different possible things. But the thing about I don't know what she is, but I would say that what when you mention her liking the fact that you're smart, that would be consistent with either type. INFP's got
Yeah,
8 slot TI, but it they tend to value your intelligence, but
yeah, yeah,
not the not when you use TI to convince them of things. So here's
yeah.
the thing:
I could see that.
when I'm talking to Kim, it's a little different though than when I'm talking to an
Mm-hmm.
INFP. So with Kim, she's gonna keep returning the framing to whether I'm motivated properly or not. Basically, am I saying this because I really um, mean it and care about it, or am I just using it as an attack? Is
Um.
Kim's got excellent instincts on that. But let me tell you about the TI. The way it works is that
Mm-hmm.
in the moment she'll process it. Sometimes she'll ask some questions. She will not. It takes her a good amount of time though to go from considering my TI arguments, sort of like sleeping on it the next day. Maybe she'll come back and say, "Okay, I've thought about it, and I decided that you were right about this one thing." And
Mm-hmm.
so it may be 2 days later even. She takes her a long time to decide. It's not that it takes her a long time to figure it out. It just takes her a long time to decide. And
One one thing that I noticed with Amanda is that she doesn't do a lot of what I call gosh, what's a good word for it now? I had a good word for it. Hyper analysis, where every little like facial cue or gesture has some kind of meaning. And I talked about in the Facebook post where every NFP I've been in a relationship with, or NTP, tends to at some point in the relationship or another read too much into things, and not always in a horribly negative way. They just do it. And, they'll tend to extrapolate and think of possibilities, sometimes not in positive ways, and usually it's in positive ways. But I've noticed with like our 3 months that it feels a lot like the relationship I had with an INFJ, where and I didn't realize it until we talked about in the interview where Amanda expressed the desire for direct communication. Gee, I wish he wasn't giving out hints, but instead just said, "This is, more what I need." That was very much something that my INFJ did for me, and vice versa. Was that valuing of direct, conversation and relating about how we feel about things versus just, giving off a hint.
well, I don't think any types really explicitly think that they prefer or the one ought to prefer a lack of clear communication. So most people will answer those kind of questions
Yeah.
by saying they prefer directness, they prefer clear communication because it's generally considered to be the winning value over obfuscation and subtlety.
Well, well, yeah, yeah.
But okay,
But some people don't necessarily see a need for it because they feel like they can just read people so well that, why do you need to state it explicitly? Um, I that's not my view of things, but I think other people perhaps do see it that way.
let me tell you an experience that I have with Kim and see if it correlates with your experience. Um,
Okay.
One point of disconnect between me and Kim is that I want her to tell me everything in words. And there's a lot of stuff in life that's pretty obvious and you shouldn't need to say to the person directly, but I like to have everything confirmed with words.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I want Kim to tell me, good job, Eric, or whatever, or I love you a lot, and yes, I value you, and I want her to tell me those sort of things frequently. Uh, she makes lots of she displays affection in lots of ways. She hugs me, she'll give me food, and she's a wonderful girlfriend. But she's not naturally very verbal about love and sex and stuff like that, which she sees as fundamentally more experiential than I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, if is yours like that, whereby there's a disconnect between um, experiencing and making meaning about things, or
Yeah.
do you guys both like to make meaning a lot? It's just that you run afoul of what
No,
the
I
purpose of the meaning is.
no, it's exactly as you say in the sense that I really need meaning and she doesn't. And we're both, somewhat spiritual, but I'm much more metaphysical about it than she is. And and she's cool with that, but she's also kind of like, Whitey, you don't need to overcomplicate it. You just, follow these rules and it's okay. You know, um, Whereas, I always feel like if it holds water, if it has meaning, then I don't like to leave the words alone until I really understand them, and that's just the way I approach everything. And it was one of the things we talked about because we're both. I tend to have kind of a combination of Eastern and Western values in terms of spirituality. She's very traditional Western values. But, like one of the things I said to her is, I go, the first sentence of the Bible is, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Do you even understand that? I go, that's the first sentence. And I was just trying to make a point with her that, if it has value to you, think it through, because a lot of people, they don't think it through and so they don't have any idea what any of it means. And they don't see the Eastern roots of a lot of the ideas behind it. And it becomes a very autocratic religion that is, in certain ways, suppressive versus what it really could be. And so we explored that. But her response to it was, you don't really need to worry about all that. And that's a very SI or maybe even SE type of philosophy. It's worrying about all that, um,
There are
or
definitely
at least that's what it
Mine's
variations.
seems
very
like to me.
SI.
There are definitely variations
Mm-hmm.
in ISFJs too. So some things don't necessarily correlate great. Like Jewel is very conflict avoidant. Kim
Yeah.
is not. Kim is not very
Yep.
conflict avoidant. She's willing to throw down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, a lot of things that stereotypes that um, you may get some substantial variation in depending on like a Negro type and shit. Uh, the
Oh yeah.
Kim's
Yeah.
Kim is good about presenting the house. Like it
Yeah.
looks
You
nice
asked
whenever
about
anybody comes
makeup.
over. No, I'm talking about the house. So before anybody
Oh, I
comes
know.
over,
Yeah. The house too.
she's got it cleaned up before anybody comes over. But underneath the
Mm-hmm.
surface, it's not really that organized or clean. There's like a room that we have closed off that's all full of junk because we're still trying to organize things. Is she like
Yeah. Yeah.
is she very attentive to making sure the house looks right when people come over,
You know,
or do you maybe
my
you don't have
opinion
people
on
over?
it,
I don't know.
and I actually addressed it in a Facebook comment, but it's worth repeating here and in different form. Uh, the idea that when you look for FE, you always have to understand that FE will present very differently, especially I think if it's paired with SIFE, depending on the person's upbringing and roots.
Yeah, but it's
Because
subjective
as
epistemologist first. There's gonna be
yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
variation in that type.
yeah, and so like
Susie,
her mom was like, oh,
let
yeah.
Susie get in here. Susie,
Can I ask you something? Do you believe in the I thing?
Do
The
I
thing
believe in
about
the?
I'm asking Eric
I mean, I haven't really
with
thought
SI
about
and
it.
stuff to the left. Of course, yeah, we talked about it.
I know, but I haven't drawn any. What I mean by that is, I then didn't do any further cognitive work on it. I didn't think as though there was any way to do much ideationally with it besides simply check data against against the idea and see if it's accurate or not. But that sounded like a hassle. I don't
Okay,
use
because
visual cues. I
no,
generally don't
because
use visual cues.
we initially talked to her without visual cues, right?
Yeah, and that really, I think, made it harder.
And I asked you, does her eyes do this when she speaks? And you said yes. I asked specifically for FI, and she came on camera, and it was clearly FI. If you believe in that, of course.
I mean, I think
Without even seeing her.
I suspect that the physical cues and physical correlations are not
SI and FI are quite opposite.
I suspect that they are not baseless, and they may even be strong indicators, but they're not ones I ever use, so I don't draw conclusions about those things because I just don't know it well enough. I mean, you've talked to me about it a little bit, but I have to change my whole modality. I don't look at people usually. Like when I was watching Nick's video earlier, I didn't watch Nick's video. I listened to Nick's video. I I always listen to people. I listen better when I'm not looking at them. I hear everything they say.
I do the same thing.
But it may be because I don't look.
Anyway, my point is that either way, she had a long interview, and it wasn't biased, and yeah.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, Susie. I'm not saying she is ISFJ. I'm trying to give John some indicators of what to look for, and
I'm just saying.
So
I didn't like that the interview was critiqued because it was long and thorough.
I don't think it was critiqued.
So well,
I think he just said that she was not behaving normally during the interview. That's not a critique of the interview. It's a critique of her timing.
Yeah, her timing. So the wins were asked. I demonstrated how they could lead to misleading results, like the NE question, which was can you name 5 things about dogs? We have 3 of our dogs in bed with.
Yeah, but look,
and some of the things she mentioned, in fact, more than one, at least 2 or 3 of them were SI type things, like they're soft and snuggly, and it was very in the moment type of NE.
Okay, but
I believe she has NE in her deck.
I don't think I made any conclusions on that at all because INFP has it in the 2nd slot, ISFJ has it in the 4th slot. The primary difference in how they use NE is what they ideate about. ISFJ ideates about how to rearrange the furniture over there and shit. We do a lot of that stuff around here. We ideate about ideates about what color she wants on the wall, shit like that. And
I talked about that. My face was kind of embarrassed by the answer. The real answer of whether she rearranged stuff is she's rearranged every cabinet in the kitchen. She brought a microwave and fridge over. She rearranged the pantry. She has added 2 lamps to the living room and also moved a bookcase out of it. She's created one of the bedrooms for her kid for when her kid stays over. She rearranged the sink under the bathroom and also the bathroom. So I still am having to ask her like where certain things are, like where do I get this, and then she also rearranged the utility room.
Hey, but listen,
converted
John,
it into
listen. This is important.
Yeah,
it's only an ISFJ behavior if she rearranges it and then maybe 4 or 5 days later rearranges it again, even though it's just been rearranged.
My INFJ X she took longer to do it.
Yes, she would do that because that's polar TE. It is not insensible rearranging. It is an ongoing state of, well, now I think I want that thing over there.
Yeah, this is. So
keep an eye out for it. Look, I don't want you want to draw conclusions. Listen, I don't want to draw any conclusions. I suggest you don't draw any conclusions either. I'm just saying, keep an eye out for this shit. And note that if she's an INFP, she will be more on top of family matters like your schedule, her schedule, or stuff like that. And it will cause her less stress to do it than ISFJ. Even though ISFJ's got SI in the top slot, doesn't matter because at least INFP has TE.
Well, she did take to the idea of a schedule, kind of like a fish to water. So it's not all obvious to me.
Yeah,
I know I sound like
ISFJs like
I'm
to have a
strong.
schedule, but they're not very good at keeping
Yeah.
track of your schedule for you.
Yeah. Well, she definitely has not tried to control that for me. She hasn't tried to tell me, look, I came up with the schedule that you asked me to. Now I really want you to do it.
Not
Yeah.
controlling it, keeping track of it for you. Like, will
Yeah.
she? Are you able to delegate shit to her? You're probably not going to do a very good job of delegating shit to either an ISFJ or an INFP. But if you're trying to delegate TE shit to an ISFJ, you're doomed to failure. At least if you try to delegate TE shit to an INFP, they're seeking TE, and they'll probably enjoy that TE shit that you're giving them. Now, note too,
Yeah.
Sean, that while I would not advocate in favor of an ENTP INFP relationship, and I would say that it'd probably be doomed to failure long term, I would also say that they're
Thanks.
very spark. But no, but listen, if she is an INFP, that's a very sparky relationship. You can get a lot of juice out of that and find it very satisfying. So if you're feeling enthusiastic about it, stick with the relationship. Get all the juice you
Okay.
can out of it. If you get sick of the F5, she does turn out to be an INFP, then eventually you have to leave her. But that's neither here nor there. At the moment, at least, you sound enthusiastic enough to be advocating on behalf of her ISFJhood, and which suggests like, okay, I'd like her to be my duo because then I'd have very good reason to stay with her forever. So the fact that that's my line of reasoning there anyway. There's some motivational links in there, but that's okay. And
So FI being expressed through NETI.
I mean, I don't know what she is. If she's an INFP, she's FI, NESITE. If she's an ISFJ, she's SIFETI. Um,
NE.
NE. Yeah, so it's quite a different stack, but at the same time, because the NE and the SI is both there for both people, and because the INFP's SI is aspirational, um, they I could totally picture an INFP waxing poetic about how great this bath feels in a similar way to an ISFJ, but the INFP would probably use more words.
The ISFJ uses more words.
No, the INFP would use more words. The INFP would use
INFP
more
would.
words. So if like both of them would take a bath, they'd both be like, this feels really good. But INFP would say more words about it and ideate more about it. And ISFJ would actually spend the time indulging in the SI. So, for INFP, they have to keep coming back to the SI because it's in their third slot. They're not gonna default back to a resting state of SI. And as a consequence, like me, sometimes I can take a bath and focus on how nice it feels, and sometimes I'm impatient. I want to make a video while I'm taking a bath. You know, my SI it's inconsistent. So if she's an ISFJ, she'll get into that bath, and you're not going to hear another word from her except for "ooh, that feels good," the warm water, whatever. But if she's an INFP, she's more likely to want to chatter during SI gratifying activities. Just a thought, a hypothesis. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but it seems like a lot makes sense,
So you think that would be the case for me too, then?
Yeah, that you would end up ideating in the middle of your SI.
But you're
glory.
forgetting that for introverts, talking is not thinking.
Okay, well, thinking then. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, but yeah, introverts. Freaking introverts. You mess up my typing. Everyone's supposed to be an extrovert. Then it would all make more sense. Well, but okay. Kim is pretty talkative though when she's not doing stuff like that. Because when she's taking a bath, I never really hear words out of her mouth. When she's sitting next to me, she's a lot more talkative. I tend to want to talk to her from the bath, but
one other thing I noticed about her is that had me thinking FI Dom. So you have to understand that I am confused too. But I initially was thinking FI was somewhere in the top 2 because she had very sharply defined tastes in certain things. And so, like, you know, we'd go out to eat at a restaurant and she'd be like, oh, I can't eat this because it has celery and I don't like the way it crunches, and just very, very sharp preferences with relation to food. And her art was very kind of hands-on. And then I realized I have an ISTJ friend that does the exact same thing. That,
yeah.
you know,
What you're
when
describing
they
there is
can't.
definitely SI.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
and that.
Also, Kim has strong tastes about music and shit too. She's got strong tastes
Yeah.
about media. She hates shit she doesn't like, and she doesn't want to watch it. She doesn't want to experience it at all. And
Yeah.
so I mean that I don't know if that's ISFJ. I think it's kind of ISFJ. Like, she's got a clear like wheelhouse of taste. She likes
Of
certain
what's
kinds of.
acceptable and what's not. Yeah.
She's got certain kinds of music that she likes a lot, and those are her bands. And she has these compartments, like, and then sometimes I'm in the car, I listen to classical music, and then when I'm in the salon, I put on the music that the people who come to get their haircuts want to hear, and that's my relationship with music. I can sort of like describe it to you in 3 sections.
I think like a good question to ask to differentiate is Melina the same person in most situations, or does she adapt to her environment almost obviously to you?
That's I get the sense that she's adapting, and I'll say the reason why is because especially
in here. I'm not talking about necessarily in here. I'm talking about in real life.
Oh, you're talking about. Oh, I'm seeing the text conversation now. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe bring her back another time. We talk to her some more.
Is Melina a different person we're talking about here?
Yeah,
Because
Melina's an INFP for sure. Melina is somebody.
Okay.
They're having a different conversation or something. I don't know.
Wait, we weren't talking about Melina this whole time?
No, her name is Amanda.
Oh my gosh, I thought this was Melina's ESTJ husband this whole time.
Oh, no. Oh.
This is John. Well, John's an ENTP. John's an ENTP that a lot of people want to question his ENTP-hood, but he's an ENTP.
His voice sounds just like him. What the fuck? That's embarrassing. Sorry.
No worries.
So when you say Jewel is like that too, what do you mean, like the 3 compartments thing?
No, Jewel has like very particular taste in music, and like, I don't know, it's kind of odd. Like, nobody would really expect her to have that taste or like such specific taste, and then randomly she's like super into indie music and stuff, and, like obscure records. But
well, you know, one thing I've noticed with Amanda, at least, is that she has specific tastes, but they are traditional. Like, I think I would be the one that would be leading her into new and different kinds of music, because she's perfectly happy to stick with what she grew up with, and, you know, maybe a little bit, you know, the newest album of whoever she likes, but not really branch off into a new genre, you know. At least that's been my experience so far.
You said she makes art of some kind. What kind of?
Well, she,
hands-on. What kind of shit does she make?
Well, she told me I think it was, you know, she does a lot of arts and crafts. So, like, the latest thing is she wants to build bookshelves out of like these old windows that she in a garage to give them like a rustic look. And so right now she's been focusing it on.
Did she use the word rustic?
Did
she use the word shabby chic at any point?
No, I don't think that was it. But she said that there was some kind of, you know, that's like the thing that's, you know, coming into style or whatever, you know, look. And so was that FE or is that SE? I mean,
the whole rustic, shabby chic, making bookcases out of windows and stuff. that's very SFJ stuff. Now, I'm not saying
Yeah.
that's definitive at all. I'm just saying that does
Yeah.
tend to be very SFJ stuff. Candace made that kind of shit. Kimberly makes that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and it's fun. I love making this kind of stuff with her. I mean, she doesn't
Yeah.
go crazy with it, but yeah, she does this stuff too.
She's pretty, hands on, good with, not great with a wrench. Like I wouldn't ask her to rebuild a car or anything, but she's pretty good at figuring things out and, just on a hands on way, just doing things that a lot of women, would go find a guy for. Although that's changing these days, but still, I like that about her, that she's very practical, not afraid to,
Well, I
do
mean,
things herself.
the thing
She's
is,
got some kind of independence.
I I would say the same thing about Kim for sure. That
Hmm.
uh, she's got a lot of, I'm gonna guess, bustle right up to this thing and move it out of the way, and I'm going blah blah blah. It's like she's very dewy, and
Yeah.
she's strong. She's really strong.
Hmm.
But the thing
Yeah.
is, you got to be on the lookout for the polar TE though. Okay,
Mm.
here's a question.
What's polar TE look at? Like, okay,
Well,
go. Probably a
Polar
question will
TE
tell
for
me.
here's a good example of Polar TE. Polar TE doesn't clean up while it cooks. So you Polar TE will get, if Kim needs to combine garlic and salt into a bowl, she'll get one bowl, pour garlic in it, another bowl, pour salt in it, and the third bowl, and then put the first two bowls and pour them into it to make a third bowl. It's just like, and then the dishes go in the sink. So she might make, I don't know, scrambled eggs, and we'll have a whole fucking sink full of dishes because
Hmm.
her modality is she doesn't think about how after she's done she's gonna have to clean up because that's TE.
My INFJX would do that, and I used to blame it on the fact that she wanted me to do the dishes.
And it's
But
polar TE.
uh, okay, I have seen some of that in Amanda. Although Amanda's good enough to, at least not, put the all the horrible tasks on me.
Okay,
But that's the beginning of the
I mean,
relationship
but
for you.
it's not putting the task on you. It's not about putting the task on you. It's
Yeah,
about the way
yeah.
that somehow it's like they do stuff that you go like, because
Hmm.
you were with an INFJ, you saw her
Hmm.
TE stuff. That, I mean, you
Hmm.
got to ask yourself, is Amanda somebody who, when moving a chair across the room, will fail to move all the coffee tables full of vases between her and the other side of the room and just knocking them all over as she, if she's somebody who will do that, then you're looking at something like polar TE. But they'll do remarkably dumb things like that. Now her TE is getting better and my TE is
Well,
getting better because of each other, but and
oh,
because
let
we
me
metacognize
tell
about it.
you. I'll tell you an amusing story about my INFJX. She decided she was going to organize my electronics for me. I had a closet full of, tons of gadgets I collected over the years, and they roughly had the power adapter next to whatever powered it, and things were in relatively organized shape, but not what she thought of as organized. So I come home to find her zip tying the last of all the power adapters, and she's like, "See, I've organized it for you. All of your power adapters are in this bin." And I've taken all of the stuff and I've stacked it neatly in the closet. And I'm like, wait, how am I supposed to figure out which power adapter goes to which appliance? There's like 50 of them, all zip tied. And so to this day, I finally this year decided, okay, I'm fixing this for good. And I went through and I had to organize all my adapters by voltage, and so at least now I know if I've got an appliance that needs a 12-volt adapter, which drawer to reach in. But she completely ruined everything by separating the parts that went with things into a pattern that she thought looked good because it was all zip tied and it looked very neat.
Right. Well,
I think that was our polar TE.
here's the FE tool polar TE thing is Kim's primary concern for sure is how things look. So I'll point out the fact that, Kim, that makes no sense to put those things over there because of blah, 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 blah. This is obviously a better place. Eric, we can't put them there because I don't want people to see them when they walk in the gate at first until they get back here, and then they'll have to see them. I'm like, Kim, it's in the backyard behind a gate, and it's a dumb place to put it. But I get you want it to look nice. But the great thing about Kim is that she will compromise, and we'll find a solution that we're both happy with. We don't ever. I don't ever. When the way I'm talking about it now, I never talk to her like that about it. I just go, okay, sweetie, where would you like? Well, okay, you want it over here? Are you sure? Okay. I don't say that's a dumb way to do it. I'm just thinking to myself, she's that dumb. I mean, sometimes I'll be like, okay, but do we really want to prioritize after you over
wireless
TV?
speaker. Yeah. I think wireless speakers came out, mainly because of those types of concerns that we can't have wires everywhere. And so, I mean, yeah, the sound quality is terrible or, not as good, but, wires everywhere. So a lot of the advancements in, home theater tech have been about that, about making it look not so obtrusive, which isn't always a bad thing if it can be done right.
I mean, my audio stuff, I've got cords all over the place because I my my setup's not like super fancy or anything, but even if it were, I guess it's still the same problem. I'm constantly having to switch things around. Like, okay, well now I want to do this kind of thing, so I need these pieces of equipment, and then plug, 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 move, 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 move. So I gotta have all my plugs like in front of my face. I can't have it hidden behind shit.
Yeah, it's a functional thing.
I want to talk about dishes though for a second. We're way off topic. The topic is why people act weird. We're live streaming right now. I got off that topic a long time ago. Anyway, I'll talk about dishes for a second. Like, this is how I did lunch today. I got 3 paper plates. One of them had the raw burgers on it. One of them had the bun and the lettuce, and the other one was just an extra plate. And then I come out here and put everything on the barbecue, not the lettuce, but I also brought the mustard with me. It was chicken sandwiches, as it was. It wasn't burgers, it was chicken. Anyway, that's not relevant. The thing is, uh, I used 3 paper plates. I used no dishes at all of any sort because I was making sandwiches, hot sandwiches, with hot barbecue chicken. And I put the chicken on the grill, put the frozen toast pieces on the grill, and then I didn't have bun because I did chicken sandwiches. The uh, pieces of bread on the grill will toast up and okay, good. And then I take them off the grill, put them onto the plate that didn't have anything on it. And because I'm going to need 2 plates, so you're making 4 sandwiches. 2 for me, 2 for Kim. Anyway, this is a really boring story. So, but very important. Very boring, but very important. The point of it is I made 4 chicken sandwiches. They were delicious. They had cheese. I brought the package of cheese, put it on the toast. After it started toasting, shredded cheese. Anyway, and it had cheese, it had chicken, it had lettuce, it had mustard, it had toast. It was delicious, and not one dish used. After I was done, paper plates go in the trash. I had paper napkin. Look what I got right here. Kim didn't used to ever use these things. I came in, I was like, first thing I said was like, we really need to get some plastic cups and some paper plates.
It's funny. That's what Amanda said.
Okay, so that's well, I mean, you never know. There's nothing definitive there, but that tends to suggest some sense of TE. I don't know. Recycling is so gay, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I actually hate seeing things wasted. Although, yeah, it is kind of boring. It's something I'd rather have other people do. At least we have single string recycling, which probably means they take the same landfill that they take the regular trash. But in theory, you put your recyclables in the bin and they separate them for you.
Well, yeah, that's what you should put all of your trash together, and then let the trash company separate it. We should not ever have to think about recycling. Why is it done on our end? Why isn't it done at the trash end? How crazy is that?
I mean, Eric, don't you care about the environment?
No, hear what I'm saying.
Come on, do your part. We should
Hear,
all do our part.
hear what I'm saying, though. The best way to recycle is to put all of the onus on the garbage collecting company, because then they they're just trying to they get to keep all the money from all the recyclables, and they're trying to get us to do their work for them. It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
We could all not worry about recycling if they did it where they should, at the between our curb and the dump. Somewhere between our curb and the dump, they should go through the trash and take out all the stuff that they think they should take out.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I think like with things like metals, we should be processing the dumps we already have in place. I mean, why are we mining? You know, especially with things like aluminum. Aluminum processing. But aluminum processing, do you know how much electricity that requires to take it from an oxidized form to? I mean, it's ridiculous.
The whole thing is too expensive. If you go through the existing dump mining for resources, right now, it's the price of the raw materials has to be at a certain price point before it becomes profitable. No matter what approach you're going at, you're mining for something. So if you go,
well, with copper, it's to the point where I mean they're having to change the amount in pennies just so that people don't get tempted to melt down pennies for the copper, which is more valuable than the actual dollar value. Like if you go to, I don't know, I can't remember what year it is that they changed the ratio, but if you go to the older like wheat pennies, the value of the copper is worth more melted down than in the form of the currency.
Okay, so maybe
so yeah, I'm sure they can find things in there that would be worthwhile.
I would guess that copper then would probably be something that they could go and take a big chunk of fucking landfill and go, let's take all the copper out of this, and maybe it would be profitable, depending on the methodology they use and how efficient it is at extracting the copper from the landfill. But from what I've read and heard,
well, I know people are taking pipes out of houses.
Right, but from what I've read and
it happened to our neighbors.
But from what I've read and heard in the past, and not that recently, it was a couple of years ago. It's some debate topic, but that wasn't yet profitable to do that from landfill. But it is profitable to do it between the curb and the landfill. So why are we being tasked with caring about that when obviously it should be done? We shouldn't be the ones doing it. It's stupid.
I think it's the appearance of making a difference as a fetish or substitute for making an actual difference. It's kind of like voting.
I mean, in the status quo, it's possible for me to throw a bunch of recyclables away and for them to go to the landfill.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it happens all the time. You know it happens all the time because you see people going around to trash cans and pulling out aluminum cans and shit, and if they weren't in there, they wouldn't be able to pull them out. So, obviously, some of those trash things go in the trash truck, not into the recyclable truck. Now, does that mean, since we've been tasked with sorting them, that they simply assume that all that trash has no recyclables in it and they just throw that all away? That's an idiotic way to structure this thing.
Yeah. I know I've seen where they just flat out ignore. I mean, there have been companies that actually just combine them, send them all to landfill, which is some kind of joke in there. At least it makes me laugh to think about it. That all these people went through this trouble, laugh or cry, depending on the mood. That people went to trouble to separate it, and then the company just went and took it. And I guess they were the lowest bidder for the government, and so it got mixed in and thrown away.
Fuck it. Do we really want to? Do we really want to redeem all those recyclables?
Nah.
I just throw them away.
Yeah.
The thing is, the only way it could possibly be, though, well, I've been thinking about it now more. The problem that they have is this: if you have a bunch of trash and it's being picked through, then you need a big long line of people picking through trash. And that's going to be full of biohazards and fucking, it's a liability nightmare beyond all imaginings to have humans picking through that trash. So you either have to have them like with these gloves on the other side of like a sheet or something, like a plastic sheet, and then so they're isolated from it, or else you're gonna have people contracting horrible diseases, and it's gonna be awful. So that's gonna be a problem. But I think what they should do is like just grind up all the trash, and then use magnets to pull out all the metal stuff. But do they have like a magnet to pick up aluminum? They don't have any kind of magnet to pick up aluminum, huh?
I do not think so.
Or do they have a glass magnet?
Or no, unless you want to talk about glass magnet. Well, I guess you could use static electricity if things can clean the glass through it, then sufficiently enough charge.
If you wanted to,
I'm probably.
What? Let's all brainstorm this. What's the best way? You've got a fucking conveyor belt full of trash that's got a decent amount of glass in it. Now, what are you gonna do? What process are you gonna run that shit through that it'll get the glass out, leave everything else?
Centrifuge. I don't know. That's what. That's what they do in labs, right? I don't know if that would, but that would definitely separate things by density.
Okay. So then, okay, now what I'm picturing, now you give
people keep saying TE. This is NE, I think, but
you started a good idea there. I'm picturing a big circle then, where the trash gets dumped in the middle to start out with, and it's not just spinning around in a circle. It's doing that fairly slowly, fast enough to make it go to the outside. But there's also like
it's like
different channels.
20 G's.
There are different channels,
force.
different
you
shaped
need a lot
channels,
of force.
different kinds of channels that shit goes through. So it's like a plinko thing, but some of them are smaller and some of them are wider. So you can get sizes plinkoing here, and it won't be able to go through this one. It'll be small, and it'll roll over and go through a larger one over here, and then larger stuff goes here, smaller stuff goes here. Yeah.
You could just control the rate at which things come out the side of this thing that's spinning at 20 billion revolutions per second, and then just based on the time it comes out, what it is. Potentially, I mean, if it's a metal, you could potentially do it that way.
Okay, but the problem is, shit. Even if you had no little barriers like I was talking about from the center of the circle, you're still gonna have a traffic jam. So shit's gonna bump into each other, and it's gonna get out of its natural pacing. You'd have to then take each particular item of trash, and then put it in the middle by itself, time it out, and then say, things within this time range are most likely A, or if not, then B or C, because there'd be a certain amount of like cushion on either side for everything because of the traffic.
So I'm not liking that idea as much.
What comment do you want?
There's got to be a better. There's got to be a better way.
Comment that I was warned to respond to. I don't see you demanding to respond to things. Oh yeah, you copy and paste. That'll help. Did you say something, Kim? Oh, I'm glad I didn't know you were even up. You want to come have a cigarette? I can't scroll back enough for your love. I gotta scroll back so far. What a beautiful. Was that a frowny face? You're what?
I'm tired and I'm sore.
Would you like me to come to bed with you?
I'm gonna take a bath because I'm also tired.
Why is that?
And then I'm trying to get better. And this was so late.
Yeah, it is late. Oh, you've been awake this whole time?
What?
I thought you were sleeping in there.
I was sleeping off and on. I was so comfortable. What do you have in here now?
You have one cigarette left.
What is this?
It's rice.
Why do I have one cigarette left?
I smoke one more. I can go get us more right now. Okay? I'll go get us more. Don't stomp your feet. Are you feeling a little bit FI? A little bit fussy?
No. Just like to get up in the morning.
I will get you back tonight so you'll have in the morning. Alright, now let me read this thing. The compulsion to add complexity to the situation is a good weakness to have, I think. That's why it's weird for me to hear when EHP capable of hating someone with such emotional strength to want to break their nose. Doesn't doing a good job at any TI make it possible to switch your perspective to your adversaries and then watch that understanding put out the fire of hate. And I can see where this fucking dumbass is coming from. Way you can still decide to teach them a lesson by with cold manipulative strategy, not fists. Well, I mean, I'm certainly not in favor of fists. I'm not saying that. I mean, I'm not saying that I actually um, do that or advocate that you should hit somebody like that. It's just it's what I want to have happen. So, um, you know, I don't favor violence. I might talk like tonight. I normally don't even talk like that, but when I'm sort of referencing my imagination in regard to injustice and stuff, I was talking about having violent fantasies and stuff. I did. I used to have more than I do now, but I still have them. When I imagine people who were committing injustice and getting away with it, I tend to have violent fantasies about them. But it doesn't mean I'm actually going to be violent. It's probably indicative of the opposite. Hello? That's a spooky icon, or whatever you call that thing. Picture face. That's what they call it. Picture face. How many picture faces of a touch equal one potato? 7. each one more important than the prior. Watch out, Mason. No, it doesn't do a good. The part of that comment that I want to actually respond to is: doesn't doing a good job at any TI make it possible to switch your perspective of your adversaries, and then watch that understanding put out the fire of hate? It depends. I mean, it can. There's a lot of reasons to not fight. That's why so few good fights get fought well. Peace is not a virtue in and of itself. Justice is a virtue in and of itself, and injustice is a moral impermissibility in and of itself. So, the issue of how much poo you can sneak into a turkey stuffing before it takes over is one the philosophers have studied for millennia. I always thought that was why I could never hate my eyes, no matter how messed up their actions. Oh, not your eyes, your exes. That makes more sense. EXES, not EYES. I always thought that was why I could never hate my exes, no matter how messed up their actions. I don't think you're an 8, my friend. I'm an 8. So, if somebody's getting away with bullshit, I feel a sense of need to meow the pia, you know? Or to pia the meow, even. Or to pia the pia, if you want to get serious about it. But, I mean, I only very rarely get serious. I get very serious with my ex-boss. I got serious very briefly with my ex-wife when she got stupid very briefly. I got serious with my first wife because she was uh, being generous with her body. And, I got serious when Lacey died in a different way. That was very sad. Obviously, I got serious in lesser extents. When Delilah would get bullied. But I didn't have a chance to really take it out on anybody because you can't really go, yell at kids. Yeah, that's about it. That's about the only times I get really, really seriously like, I'm going to war. Because I had to. And fuck the wrong people when they're wronging on me. Uh-uh. That is cause for consternation. But Kim and I are going to stay together forever, so I'm never going to really have to be that serious again. Somebody really fucking trying to roll up on me or something, I have to. Yeah, but I mean, it would have to be serious. Those kind of things where I'm really serious, like, okay, I am going to go to war because I will not be able to tolerate that much disequilibrium. It'll make me feel sad and mad and bad. It'll make me feel not so very glad. It'll make me feel bad and sad and mad and Chad. Mad at Chad because I'm so sad. That's how it'll make me feel. Those are 3 bad feelings. Sad, bad, mad. Thanks, Faraway Banner. Appreciate it. Yeah, sad, mad, and bad are 3 negative emotions or things. Mhm. It is. A cad is also a bad thing. Typically, connotatively has a negative connotation. Cad. How would you define cad? Let's look it up. He's a cad. Really? A cad? Yes. The worst kind of cad. You mean a sad, bad, mad cad? Yes. He's a sad, mad, bad cad. A man who behaves dishonorably, especially toward a woman. Her adulterous cad of a husband. Hmm. Yeah, she doesn't really like it when I stay out. She needs a lot of sleep. I mean, she gets a lot of sleep. She'll sleep 10 hours a night, no problem. And she'll just like sleep it. Like, you know, I get up every couple hours. I have to get up and pee like every 3 hours, probably.
My INFJX could sleep 13 hours. And I told her to ask her therapist about it because I was like, maybe that's depression or something. And her therapist said, no, you're just a recreational sleeper. But I'm still getting engaged for Amanda's schedule, but she's more, 10 to 6. At least now that we've established order.
Well, the thing is, with with Kim, I don't know if this is universal, but it's very important that she gets her things that she needs. She has to be fed. She needs to rest enough, and she's very picky about food. So you can't just feed her anything; she won't eat it. So then you got to find something specific to
Yep.
feed. And everything's got to be fresh. She doesn't like frozen shit. So, and also she needs to bathe when she's dirty, and she needs to brush her teeth like 3 times a day, and she.
You mentioned peeing in the sink. Do you get scolded for that?
If she catches me.
If she catches you.
She doesn't usually catch me.
She doesn't, but she's SI Dom. Doesn't she walk in and smelling off odor or something?
No. I'll rinse it out real good. I'll rinse it out good.
Oh, okay.
I'm aware of that potentiality, so I'm trying to make sure it doesn't go like that. If there's some cleaner or something, I'll squirt some of that in there. But the
that's right. And she smokes, so you're kind of covered a little bit there.
Also, I don't do it very often. She did, because I usually sit down. If I stand up to pee, then I'll either pee outside half the time, or occasionally I'll pee in the sink. I don't stand up and pee in the toilet because I'm too tall and I get it all over the place. And also because I'm just lazy too. I prefer to sit down.
See, that's another invention idea. That's just waiting to be made.
What? A toilet?
Well, some kind of higher standing fixture, just for men.
Oh, well, it's called a urinal.
Well, I know, but they don't really have them in. You could make
It should be
tank top
it should be
urinal.
ergonomic. It should be
Yeah.
ergonomically designed. So okay, there should be a tube
Mhm.
that is. It's like the tube from the back, from the gas to your stove. How it's like this metal tube that you can bend it, but
Mhm.
it won't break because
Yep.
you can't get gas leak, you know. But anyway, you get one of those and you fit it with a nice, comfortable rubber thing at the end, and you put it. You're able to bend and put it wherever you want. So let's say you want to be able to pee standing next to the bed while your wife's using the bathroom or something. You can move it. You
So
bring it
kind
up
of like
over
a
there.
household vacuum cleaner,
Well, no, but it has to obviously be sloped properly. You slope.
like a central vac, except it's a central urinal hose. I
Yeah,
think this is going somewhere.
it just goes straight, slightly at an incline towards you, so that when you're peeing into it, what you do is you make sure that the end height of the tube is exactly at the same height as your penis when you're standing up. And then you just insert the penis into the ergonomically fitted tube and
Mhm.
just stand there and go. Now, let's say you're feeling really lazy. You don't want to stand up. Well, no problem. You've got the bendable tube. You bring it down to bed height, and you just bring it near to the side of the bed, and you kind of scooch over to the edge. There you go. Now, if you're gonna have that though, you're gonna have probably it's gonna not be at the right incline anymore. So at that point, you do
Mhm.
need some kind of a vacuuming system to pull it towards the toilet. Or
Yeah, you just got to run it off the central vac for your home. Like you know how some homes have those little wall outlets. You just plug a hose into it, and you can vacuum each room that way. You
really,
just
that's
have
great. I want
yeah,
that.
yeah. My brother's house had it. It's like from the 70s, and I'm like, really? You have yeah? They have like a central vacuum system for the entire house, and little hoses run to each wall, and there's like an outlet, and then you just plug the whatever it is into it. You know, the thing that you clean with. Not that I've ever done it, but you know, you basically hook the wand up to the wall and off you go. You just do that in each room.
So is the central vacuuming thing something you turn on with the light switch or something?
Uh, I think that's the way. I don't remember exactly. Yeah,
It
how
must
that
be
part
that because
works.
I was thinking like they couldn't leave that on all the time, and then I thought, oh, it's
Oh
probably
no,
like
no, no.
the garbage disposal. It's probably like a light switch.
Yep. Hmm.
Anyway, that sounds cool. I want that for my house. I wonder where it
Yeah.
goes. It goes outside, you said, or where does it go? The trash?
You know, I that's a good question because I never asked them like how they emptied it because I probably would have been tasked with that. So, uh, but I think it just goes to a central, you know, container in the basement that you empty once a year or whatever. I mean, it could be
Ideally,
really big if
ideally, it
you're
would
not
go to
dragging
a
around.
furnace. If it went to a furnace, it would be an incinerator slash furnace. You could
Hmm.
go straight from vacuum to incineration.
Until you vacuumed up a couple of nails or something, you know.
Well, it's got to be an incinerator. It's got to be hot enough to melt even the strongest
Uh,
steel.
yeah, yeah. Then be depositing on your chimney. I don't know. Yeah.
No, what you do is you pipe out your incinerator smoke down the street always.
Okay.
You dig it underground, you have a ventilation pipe, and have it pour out like
Hmm.
at the park or something.
It might work. Yeah.
If you had it go out from underneath the lake, it would filter the smoke. The lake would filter the smoke so that less fumes would come out of your incinerator.
Kind of like a bong.
What? You don't like that idea?
No, no. I'm saying it'd be like a bong for your
Oh yeah, it would be
central
like a bong.
vac.
It would be like a bong. Except you would not want to smoke what's coming out of there.
No, no. Not unless
Unless,
you vacuumed up a lot of lettuce.
right, if you accidentally vacuumed all your weed up, and then you have to run
Yeah.
to the lake and row out there.
Actually, you might not have to. You know, the neighborhood might be feeling a little bit funny the rest of the day.
Something's weird going on
There'd
with
be
the lake, Marge.
there'd be news reports of a strange fog over your lake that you know is migrating.
What do you mean something strange going on? I mean, all the fish and birds are dead. Huh, I wonder why.
I'm liking
I,
this idea.
I go down the street, I'm like, ooh.
Well, I'm just imagining this fog just floating out of the lake, and as it migrates from house to house,
Yeah.
everybody's in a good mood,
It depends what you're
followed by
burning, of course.
hmm,
So, enough of that. I don't know what I was talking. I got sidetracked here. I've got to go
okay,
to bed. I've got to go get cigarettes, and I got to go to bed. I feel the need to get some sleeps, and
yeah, me too.
like I'm gonna get 4 or 5 sleeps probably. I don't know, but I'll see you guys later. Thanks for being here. Wait, actually, I couldn't see my profile pic from my phone, but it's okay. I enjoy listening to you guys. Is that Blanky? That's Blanky.
Well, I'm the one with like video off and audio on and all that crap because on Android it doesn't give you the option of anything really.
Oh, so that's JK Creepy Dollface? You
No,
just
no,
said that?
I'm showing up as nothing. Like at
I
least on
know.
my
Okay, I'm
phone.
talking about the chat, John.
Oh, the chat. Yeah, I don't know.
Alright, cool. Drag up bottom of screen. Hmm. I gotta go to
Oh
bed.
yeah, yeah. I don't have anything next to my messages that I can see from my phone.
Okay. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to eat plenty of
All right.
cheese. Oh, we're stopping this
Okay.
live stream. For those of you guys who were watching, I totally forgot that we were live streaming. Let's see. Oh, sorry, Chad Curtis. Yeah. He schooled me. He's like, you have all the 3 viewers and you can't even respond. Type? And then Agwin Moore says he's an ENTP. Dante 40, just send it to India for them. Nobody gives a fuck about life there. For sorting trash, they use magnets for metal and then water, I think. Oh, somebody answered the sorting trash question. That's interesting. Chad Curtis, I'm sure you're not watching anymore. My type is an ENTP. Read your chat, brah. Well, I usually kind of remember to read it occasionally. It's not in front of me. There is chat I'm reading, but it's just not this one. You should probably join the room. There's a better way to do that. Read your chat, bruh. Fuck, man. Read your chat. You have all 3 viewers and you can't even respond? Type! Well, Chad Curtis, I'm sorry. I feel bad now. I feel like I failed you, Chad Curtis. You wanted so bad to know my type, and I failed to tell you. But fortunately, that other guy told you. So, that was pretty special. Okay. 2 hours and 3 minutes of pure, non-stop gold. JK, if you were to weigh all the gold that I was spitting out of my mouth the last 2 hours and 3 minutes, and John too, of course, would you say it weighed over
Of
a ton?
course.
Over a ton or under a ton? I don't know. JK doesn't tell me what the answer is. John, what do you think? Over a ton or under a ton?
Slightly under a ton.
Okay, that's still pretty good. Thanks for watching Time
Yeah,
to Think,
it is.
people. And don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. Talk to you later, people at home. Talk to you later, John.